The Fed15 podcast is presented by Serving Those Who Serve, a financial planning practice serving federal government employees and retirees all over the country. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be taken as financial advice. All listeners should consult their personal advisors before taking any action. The opinions expressed by our hosts are their own and do not reflect the views, policies, or position of either Raymond James or Serving Those Who Serve. Securities are offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. Serving Those Who Serve is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services, Inc.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Fed15 podcast presented by Serving Those Who Serve. Each week, we discuss the latest news and info that feds need to know in 15 minutes or less. So whether you are a seasoned, grizzled federal employee or whether you are just starting out in your career as a Fed, Fed15 has got you covered. So grab your coffee, kick back, and we'll tell you what you need to know but might have missed this week in the federal space. And boy, Dan, is there a whole lot to know in the federal space these days. We're your hosts. I'm Katelyn Murray. I am joined by none other than Mr. Dan Sipe. Dan, what have we got on the calendar today? What have we got for discussion?
Well, holy mackerel. Well, the first thing, and this is just me, bear with me, for nearly 40 years, I've been serving feds, and I have been thanking feds for their service. Mm-hmm. And I've said, you do not hear it enough. You're always going to hear it here. Well, I'm doubling down. I'm saying thank you more places because you're definitely not hearing it right now. I get it. Reorgs happen, rifts happen, things like that. I've been through 4 with my feds, Reagan, Clinton, Gore, Bush 2. I don't think you have to lose respect for the humans in the mix. And so from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your service. I wish things were playing out differently than they are right now. However, I feel it's an incredible blessing that I get to be here and I get to be surrounded by extraordinary people like I have on my team to be of help and even comfort. So, sermon over. We do have some things to talk about. Like, for example, we've got new contribution limits for some of your key accounts like TSP. And Katelyn, you have some very good news on a bill for the 2026 pay raise. And folks, yes, the sun will come up. Okay. There will be a January 1st, 2026. And we want you to be prepared no matter what. Mm-hmm. So that's who we are. That's what we're doing. We are here to help and assist you through this trying time to get to the information you need to take care of yourself and to make the best decisions that you can. So I'll be talking about those contribution limits, and then Katelyn, you're going to be talking about that nice pay raise that's proposed for 2026. Mm-hmm. By the way, great article. Thank you for writing that and digging all that information out.
All good. Pay raises, we're always, watching for updates there because we know that's a popular topic, obviously, with our feds, though. For sure. All right. Well, let's talk about, so first we're going to talk about 2025. So what we're looking at contribution-wise for 2025. I know there's a lot going on, but this is important stuff that, as long as you are working, as long as you are funding your TSP, you might as well be making the best of it. So Dan, walk us through those 2025 numbers, and then we'll talk about what may be on the horizon for 2026.
Sure. So right out of the chute, we've got a higher contribution limit for TSP. It's up $500. So the base contribution limit is now $23,500. So if you haven't already done so, you need to do some quick math and divide by the remaining number of pay periods to make sure that you get your full amount in. As always, don't go crazy. Try and get it all in the first 6 months because then you will miss out on matches. That's a quirk in the system. So you're going to want to divide that by the remaining pay periods. And of course, the catch-up limits are remaining the same. So if you are in the shall we say more seasoned group, you will get the additional $7,500. And then we have articles coming out on the additional catch-ups that I'm not eligible for. So I'm not bitter about them or anything like that. But those of you that are in a specific age plan, you can put even more in. That increase applies to traditional or Roth TSP. Check with your advisors to discuss, where you should be concentrating that. If you don't have an advisor, hit us up at STWServe.com. We'll help you any way we can. Now, that's not the only thing. The HSA, and I happen to know of a person that I work closely with that really thinks a lot about HSAs and thinks they're great and awesome, and they are a fantastic tool for retirement planning. So the increase there, it's up 150 for individuals, 200 for families. So up to 4,300 for individuals, 8,500 for families. And don't forget, and I know Katelyn's got at least one article out there on this, that HSA provides triple tax advantage. The contributions are tax deductible. Growth is tax deferred, and withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are tax free. Okay. Deductible, deferred, free. I don't think there are any prettier combinations of words in finance.
Mm-hmm. So, use it correctly. You never pay taxes on that. And Dan, I hate to correct, but the family limit is $8,550, and that $50 makes all the difference, Dan.
Did I failed on my teleprompter?
We did. 50,
no,
$50
that's
tax
the
deduction.
Right info. Thank you for catching me. I Ronald Reagan that, didn't I?
You're good. You're good.
Yeah, so,
if it wasn't HSAs, I might not have hopped in. But
absolutely,
my passion.
Absolutely. $8,550. Bad grandpa.
Listen, that $50 will buy you the fancy 100%. Sunscreen from HSAstore.com.
Whoa. That's $50 with, who knows, 10, 20, 30 years of compounding, way more than 50. It could be a gabillion by the time it's all the way up. So thank you.
That's an official term.
Yes, absolutely. Now, to contribute to HSA, you got to be enrolled HSA compatible FEHB plan. Okay, so ensure the health plan qualifies for maximizing contributions to avoid any problems. But maximizing HSA contributions builds a medical expense reserve. And as I am getting closer to sunset than the sunrise that I so fondly remembered, I just got to tell you, I'm taking good care of myself, but I still see more doctors. I think that's going to be the case. So for those nearing retirement, this can be a key tool in covering additional healthcare expense, which, as I just fessed up to everybody, does go up as you get older. There's also a new limit for flexible spending accounts, $3,300. That's up $100 from 2024. Again, pre-tax earnings can be set aside for eligible medical, dependent care, and other expenses. Now, FSAs are use it or lose it. So you must be spent by the end of the year, including a grace period. So it's important to estimate those carefully. So action steps. Take a look at your cash flow and see what you can sneak away. Okay, things went up. So if you're not at the maximum for these things, take yours up as well. You can see my article.
I was going to say, Dan's got a great article on January jump. So every January reviewing the increases in contribution limits and then using your COLA, using that pay raise to kind of increase, what you're saving. That would be a really good article for learning about how to maximize these benefits as well.
Strategic decisions now can pay off later. And I think if you've listened for a while, you've heard me say this. Your future self will thank you. So take care of that future self. So that's it for me on that, Katelyn. So tell us about this juicier pay raise that could be coming.
Oh, yeah. Well, so pay raise news is always plentiful earlier than our increases. I'm sure that we'll have some increases coming in 2026 so that you can get your January jump on in January 2026 as well. But here is the word on the street with regard to the 2026 pay raise. So in January of 2025, lawmakers introduced a proposal to give federal employees a 4.3% pay increase in 2026, aiming to address wage stagnation. Now, obviously, if you followed us for a while, we track annual pay raises very closely. Typically, the first number that is thrown out is not the final number of the increase. So I expect that this number will get reworked. It'll get massaged, so let's not anchor too closely to that 4.3%. Sure. However, the kind of goal here is to provide this increase to keep federal salaries in line with inflation, number one, and then also to make them a little bit more competitive with private sector pay. And really the goal is to recognize the value of the critical work that feds are performing every day.
Yes.
So the 4.3% increase, if it does, make its way through legislative bodies, it'll provide a meaningful boost to federal workers' pay, helping to kind of mitigate some of the stagnant wage years and, again, narrow that wage gap with the private sector so that we're not losing feds to private sector employment due to more competitive salaries, which, frankly, has always been a concern. So for those who are nearing retirement, it's good news because higher wages lead to increased retirement benefits because remember that FERS pension calculation incorporates that high 3 salary. So boosting that income will help boost your pension income moving forward. It may be a little bit in the calculation if you rework, if you know how to do that back of the envelope math and you rework your calculation, it may be a little bit at first, but you've got to remember your FERS pension is going to be adjusted for inflation. So it might show up as $50 more per month. But that $50 is going to have cost of living adjustments perpetually moving forward. So in the later years of retirement, it's going to be worth a whole lot more to you. So 2026 may seem very far off right now. I get it. There's a lot going on. We've been through a lot since just January. It's been a while and it feels like it, but we want to make sure that you guys are aware of this. We want to make sure that we're sort of looking at the bright spots and that we're championing potential wins and supporting that moving forward. If it does come to pass and you do end up with a slightly larger paycheck in 2026, you could consider putting that money to work, right? Increasing retirement savings if you're not maxing out your TSP every year. You could shift your TSP contribution from pre-tax to Roth, since Roth typically takes a little bit of a bigger bite out of your paycheck. Or you could look at, some more creative strategies like funding a brokerage account so that you've got some money outside of retirement that's a little bit more liquid that you can mobilize earlier than retirement, which is typically your retirement monies won't be liquid to you until 59 and a half. A little bit different for our special provisions folks, a little bit different for folks who are working for the federal government retiring after age 55. But typically 59 and a half is that magical half birthday and the most important half birthday of your life that allows you to tap into those retirement assets. So we will obviously keep you updated as things move along with this legislation that has been introduced. We will keep you posted on how that moves through our bicameral legislature.
Indeed we will. Well, folks, that's all the time we have for today, but you can count on it. We will be back next week to bring you the latest updates you need to make an informed decision about your career and financial well-being as a Fed. There's a lot of stuff flying at you right now, and we are working all day, every day to pull information together to get it out to you. So be sure to check our site. But we want you to be able to make that best decision as a well-informed Fed.
Absolutely. And Dan, I have an update for you. Previously, I announced that 82% of folks watching our videos on YouTube are not subscribed. That number has now dropped to 75%. So I am taking that as positive traction. So I'm going to tell you 75% of people who are not subscribed, please, please, please subscribe to the podcast. If you are watching on YouTube, the subscribe button is down below the video title. You can click it there. That's going to make sure that you never miss an episode of Fed15. We've got new episodes coming out weekly, again, summarizing all the important stuff that you need to know now as a Fed. And please, remember to share the show with your friends and colleagues. If you've got Feds who you don't know if they're listening to the Fed15 or not, please just send an episode their way. It's a really great way to stay informed, and it's bite-sized content. I'd be happy to keep you company on your drive on 495 for our DC Metro folks, or wherever else across the country, because Feds are everywhere.
Yep. And for more information on the topics covered today and more, be sure to check out our blog at blog.stwserve.com. Even better, subscribe to our newsletter, The Weekly Serving. We'll ship it straight to you. It'll be delivered straight to your inbox every week. You don't need to go looking for it.
And for those who want to dive even deeper into learning about your federal benefits and financial planning for Feds, we encourage you to join us for one of our complimentary webinars. The webinars can be a great way to kind of deep dive into topics of interest. We've got some good ones coming up. We've got on March 4th, a FERS webinar that's going to go through your FERS pension benefits. And it's going to break it down. It's 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So we take a nice long, chunk of time, but we also have a live Q&A that's featured there as well, where you can get your questions answered. Then on March 11th, we have a tax planning webinar coming up. Want to mention this one because we're in the throes of tax season as we speak. Learn a little bit about your tax planning as a Fed that can help make next tax season smoother. Okay. And really long-term tax planning starts years and years and years out. So really encourage you to join those two sessions. That tax planning session on the 11th is also from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. To register for that, you can just go to our website at STWServe.com. And in the top right-hand corner, you will see a beautiful blue button that says webinars. Click on that. You can get all registered. And you can see everything that we've got coming up because we've got some great sessions through April as well. We do them year round.
Absolutely.
Of course, if you are not a webinar person, if you do not have 3 hours to take out of your day, I get it. Everybody's busy and it feels like the world's moving at light speed. You can get a one-on-one approach by reaching out to our team directly for a financial planning consultation at meetings@stwserve.com. And we can go ahead and get you scheduled for a one-on-one with one of our great financial advisors here.
We'll help you any way we can. Okay, folks. Thanks again for listening to the Fed15. We are here. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be with you through all of everything that's happening. So signing off, I'm Dan Sipe.
And I'm Katelyn Murray.
And we will absolutely, positively, 100% be back here next week.
See you there.